these sugar-free alternatives like aspartame, malsulfam K feeds into these kind of parasites that live
Absolutely.
like and destroys your entire
Yes.
gut biome.
Yes.
Well, I don't even think the sugar that like most people are getting is a natural sugar. Like when you get like a cane sugar, it's a crack cocaine. Like it's the
Same
biggest
thing with
drug in the
salt.
world.
Same thing with salt.
Yeah, well, the fake salts. Yeah, absolutely. Like there's all kinds of all kinds of iodine in the table salts and stuff like that.
I was gonna pull up Mindtrap for a second because you brought up the Illuminati card game, and
yes, please do.
There's a number of these interesting role-playing games that have. This one's about a wizard named Scepter, but it's like in a modern Crowleyan kind of setting. It's kind of almost hard to see the cards, but they're very like specific scenarios, but they're ones that are universal, kind of in this weird way. Hold on, let's see. Man at the Beach just really sticks out to me as one that, but these are things that actually just people happen to all the time. And there's a guy looking at a guy getting out of the beach, and it sets up all of these scenarios that I've started to notice are universal to interactions. And these are the same scenarios that unfold over and over again in stories of espionage or of historical alchemy or conspiracy or any kind of thing like that they all center around relationships. And so they break down these symbols into the interpersonal dramas that are going on in between, that are making, and how a wizard's using those in order to manipulate people. The other one I was going to bring up was the Book of Doors divination deck, which is an Egyptian style deck. And so a lot of these card series, they focus on that idea of tarot versus Torah, which is symbol wisdom versus wisdom symbol, right? So the idea that you create symbols from the wisdom, or that you have symbols that you break down over and over again. And all of these are very similar. They're very useful. Depends on what you're trying to use them for. But the more you use them, the more they seem to manifest is the thing. So as we are aware of them, we might be manifesting them more.
Well, I mean, as within, so without. I mean, obviously, like the outer world is a reflection of what's going on inside, and a lot of the turmoil that we have is, I think, basically majority of the people's fault on their own, and it's their choice of bad diet. The diet affects your mood, and the gut is the most important part of your body. All disease starts in the gut.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's weirdly the gut causes your mood because it says what you want to eat, and you don't feel good if you don't.
Right. And who's giving you those signals? Is that you, or is that your parasite saying like, "Hey, more sugar, more fakes, more iodine salt, more whatever they need"?
There's like the brain neurons within your intestines that dictate your personality, and which is why the Gerson therapy is such an effective method to detoxify cancer.
Yes.
I mean, I think we have that
Fans
word.
sent this. Thank you.
I think we have that C word, and I think that people don't realize that's basically just a lot of different types of parasites, and it could be different for different people based upon their environment and conditions, et cetera, et cetera. And an immune system. If you're real weak, you're able. If you're real weak, like if you have an infestation and you hurt your knee, for example, those parasites will move to your knee because that area is real weak, and they'll try to take over those areas.
So Chichonia bark is really interesting. When COVID hit, I was looking for all these like natural substances, and what was the hydrochloroquine or whatever originally comes from a chloroquine, which was made from Chichonia bark, which was also called Jesuit bark. And the Jesuits would eat this in a tea all over the world, wherever they went, particularly places that were settled called hogs bays. So hogs bays are places where they conquered the locals by bringing them a bunch of boars, leaving them there, coming back a couple of years later, and everyone had parasites from the pigs.
Right. Yeah, because pigs host the most parasites out of all farm animals. That's why they were banned around the world.
Well, it's actually why they were implemented all over the world by people who wouldn't eat them, which is the most interesting part. You've got people that won't eat pigs, but they're bringing pigs to these places so that other people will eat pigs, so that they'll go crazy
and they'll bring humanity down.
Yeah,
God,
that brings that right.
It's real easy to get control of someone that's sick. I mean, a lot of people that are sick are desperate, and I've been in this situation myself.
Papua New Guinea is a great example because Papua New Guinea had the greatest astronomy and mathematicians. And if have you seen Papua New Guinea recently?
Yeah.
It's different.
Very
But
different.
they do still know about the Sirius star, so good for them.
Wait, Papua
like
New Guinea was an
Zelda.
advanced civilization at one point?
Right. They have and you can see
What?
it from their numerology and their hexadecimal number system. Yeah.
I thought it was just
everything about
all
There's
uncontacted
mountain
tribes and
pyramids
whatnot.
in Papua New Guinea too, right next to Indonesian islands that also have them, like in West
the
Java.
most
right
advanced,
next to it.
the most advanced
Survivor
parts of-
races.
yeah, exactly.
Leftovers from the Lemurian continent in time frame.
Yes.
And they still have the
Yes.
number systems to prove it, like hexadecimal, and they also have like a different one, right? Not just hexadecimal. They have like a 64 based number system, which is even crazier than this hexadecimal system. They have a whole
yeah,
they have a whole bunch of stuff going on. Good for
I'm
that.
really excited to hear Joy's presentation to all this and how we can cure and
Yeah, Bernie,
detoxify.
can you pull up some of the stuff that she sent you? I don't know which one she wants
Yes,
to pull up,
yes,
but we could start
Drinking water.
discussing from there.
How about Zertis first quickly show some of the Arabic barcode looking?
Yeah, I want to see that because when you
Oh,
started talking about that
well,
earlier, I was like,
I don't want to interrupt the flow of.
No, please. I think it's relevant.
We haven't shown any of it all yet, and I still haven't.
All right, I'll just really quickly. I'll just really quickly learn how to use.
I do
this
have all the
computer.
links, Joy, and the emails, and I'll pull.
I don't
all
think
of
Joy
the-
saw that part of the presentation either. I was here tuned in, so I saw it, and I was like, "Oh my
For
goodness!"
sure. Let me see if I can make this large enough to see. This is a better computer. Thank you to Flawedzilla who gave me this computer, and that is why I'm even able to be here. So awesome,
All right,
Flawed.
Flawed.
Thank
This, yeah, right.
you.
Subscribe to his channel. It's based. But so here are some examples of old Kufic, and you can see there's some things about it. For one, if you were to compare this to cuneiform, you can see the idea of notches that's being done with inks and brush strokes. It's trying to make the impression that there's depth where there isn't, right? Using painting. So that's already interesting that they're talking about a three-dimensional kind of writing system. The other thing is that as time goes on, it becomes more refined. And when it does, you lose that depth, but instead you get these perfect right angles. And again, this is ancient. This is before Arabic, theoretically. We're not sure what you would call that. David Ewing Jr. would say that that's essentially still just Arabic, but I have questions. And one of the questions has to do with Etruscan, right? Because Etruscan comes out with more curvature. And this is what the Spanish eventually, let's go to the Wikipedia page. The Spanish start to become influenced and influencing Arabic, and you get this modern Arabic. So more modern Arabic, let's see, just look up Arabic, is influenced by Turkey and Spain during the Ottoman Empire. You get these curves and these kinds of lines. This is not as prominent until Spain becomes the capital of the Arabic world. Up until that point, and even then, they continue to use Kufic. Kufic is all across the East. And some examples like this, right, where you see Surah 112 written, the Surah of the monotheism of the Quran, read clockwise, starting at the bottom left in the green, right? Because green is the magic color where it all go, and going around clockwise.
Color of the heart.
And it's also the
Heart
color of the
chakra.
mosque. And yeah, there's the Anahata. But this one's interesting because some might say this is, you might be, let's say you're walking through Germany and then they arrest you. They're like, why are you wearing that shirt? Get down. And you're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. This just says Muhammad 4 times and Ali in 4 more times in white. Okay. So chill, right? This is just, if you do that, it's a hate crime against Muslims. So, it's interesting to me that this symbol is so prevalent and it has so many meanings. Here's another really interesting one, because this is basically imagery, and you're not supposed to do imagery a lot of the time. But in Persian Islam and before Islam, it's completely acceptable. And parts of the world like Lebanon, this continues to be acceptable. There's Arabic TV, Muslims have TV. So it's not what you were told. But at the end of the day, you're getting this idea that this is all visual and mathematical, and it probably means something deeper. And again, the reason I brought it up earlier was because of Korean, because Gungwoo, what's it called? Hangul. Is that how you spell the writing? Hangul? No. Yeah, Hangul. Did I do it right? The Korean writing system to me is fascinating. and it has a lot of similarities. I mean, the idea of right angles, ones and zeros, it's just a very interesting, beautiful, refined script, right? And there's seems to be connections between Korea and Turkey and even the Arabs. Hopefully my computer didn't just shut down. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, no, we hear you perfect.
Yes.
No,
Cool.
we're just being patient. We're listening to you.
I'm good. I'll get some air.
No, I like what you had to say. I was very interesting. I think it has like I think like when you see a modern QR code, like they've kind of weaponized that type of cuneiform type language, and they've actually have more characters now that they could put a bigger program into as well.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing about QR codes is people will learn to read them more and more, or something will emerge in between if we can't. But I think people can do anything, right? Children can do anything. So if you just put QR codes in front of them for a generation, we're going to start to notice that they can read them. There's certain people that are going to be able to whistle to R2D2. It's just as technology goes, and not everyone will, and there will be simplifications. I think that's the thing about English. English is this gross simplification of language in order to get so many people to communicate as quickly as possible in a single generation.
Yeah, it's lingua franca.
But French isn't lingua franca because it's really complicated and annoying. And it's like I mean, I love French people, but spelling bees are their fault. And if you ever go to Latin America, they don't have them. Did you know that in Spain and Mexico, and they don't have spelling bees because it would take all day. Every word's phonetic and perfect. So every culture's got their problem, but English is set up to be. So it doesn't matter where you come from, what language you spoke before, you just start to take the symbols and put them together and understand you will be. It doesn't matter. It could be Yoda. You could take any different grammar and it'll work in English, which is crazy. And it's just because it's reductionist. I can say, I go, she goes, we go. Try that in Finnish. There's 17 different ways to say go in Finnish. Because if I'm going, or when am I going? Or am I going and I'm talking to someone who's elite? Or am I talking to somebody who's less than me or equal? Or, I mean, is it a masculine person who's elite? Or is it the level of whom I'm talking to, whether they're elite or even whom, right? So we've lost all of these things. We've made it so much easier to speak English. But that means we can't communicate as clearly. So the next generation, if they're taught a new language from AI or something, it's a new synthetic way of thinking, it'll probably be very confusing for the last generation.
Absolutely.
The problem with barcoding is it's not a language we easily read. But because our DNA is a light reader, we are actually reading that data deep into our DNA.
Well, how did Joy? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, interrupt. Go for it.
No, I was asking. I was going to say, how do barcodes work? I'm interested.
Okay, it's military application based on the radionic or radar flat surface model, and many things can be added. The best example is your birth chart. How you have, occupied areas in the chart. Well, this is how barcodes work because the light activation captures the image, but it turns from a bar into a radionic, a circle. So it's turned all the information into a circle using a red light, and all the information that's in there essentially, well, the logistic information moves into your food, as well as the covert information that I talked about earlier, which I'm detecting through a device called a time waver.
She has a device that detects all the barcodes, and she could see the different barcodes. Like they've identified like HIV barcode, for example, and she could see that barcode present in people, children, all types of stuff. So these barcodes do exist, and whether they've manifested into that program,
an active condition,
it doesn't matter. They still pre-exist, and when the conditions become right, then they could then turn into
the active,
whatever the active version,
sickness, illness, whatever. Yeah.
So essentially, like you would have all this stuff in you from the start.
Wow. I mean,
So
that's kind of
there's-
what they say adenovirals are supposed to do, and the idea that we have genetic viruses that are hereditarily protected in our reproductive chromosomes. That
Yes.
not the idea that we have these markers essentially? I mean, they're not alive; they're automaton, but they actually write data.
Well, I think they
with the
duplicate data, right?
barcodes, yeah, they're duplicating the frequency data into the organ tissue cell. And some of the data that I've detected is, well, HIV was just mentioned. Also, a toxin, a barcode toxin that's released when you heat the food. And another one to do with water. The problem is here, the way I see it, that's all there. The information's entered our bodies. And then there's a command from a star code. So the scanning necessarily isn't the end of the problem. The longevity and the function of the barcode will persist because there's a star code operating that barcode, which may or may not be in this realm, to put it mildly.
I mean, so I've always imagined bacteriophage as being kind of like robots, but even if they're robots, drones can have Wi-Fi and be connected by radio to
We'll
a
look at a
larger hive
tapeworm.
mind.
What does it look like? It looks like an antenna. I mean, my opinion is also like some things that I've stated before, that these parasites can communicate body to body without, like, they have their own built-in Wi-Fi essentially. So they can receive and send signals just like we can, just like because we are senders and receivers as well.
But if they're getting information from beyond the veil of radio, who knows what side of the, this is where we talk about Dimension X kind of thing. I mean, they might be talking with radio to something that we're not able to perceive.
I mean, yeah, this is the whole
That's it,
connection with
yes.
5G, the COVID
Yes.
vaccine, and the smart dust stuff that people are talking about these days.
Yes.
What's the smart
It's all
dust
part
stuff?
of the same tech.
Smart dust, is
Smart
that just
dust
nano?
enters your system and it's detectable, traceable, and has communication abilities.
And because 5G is like the only cellular wave these days that can actually penetrate human or tissue, it's people are theorizing that smart dust and all these
what are MEMS?
nanotechnology are being activated through 5G.
You guys know about MEMS? MEMS are these what is it for? Micro electromechanical systems, right? You guys heard of these?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I mean,
and
the thing is, they even go
become
NEMS
even more complicated.
NEMS and FEMS, right?
Yeah. And with the recent activities that went on around the place, all around the place, there was a lot of experimental tech put out there. Like the barcodes were already there, the QR code fell neatly into place as a detection device, which is works through the blockchain and instantly connects that device to perhaps 100 different computer setups or systems or government officials. Like, it doesn't stop at the scanning. It has this 2-way, 3-way, 5-way communication that can keep going because of the nature of the construction of them QR codes. They can take a lot of data.
I find it interesting too that
just that they can access other parts of the realm.
The QR code reminds me of the Borg as well too. Now that I know more about it, it's squares, not circles. So circles major.
Sorry, I've been listening to everything you guys have been saying, and that there's this real possibility that these transhumanists, these Illuminati or whatever the frick they are, but that there's written in the not the devil's code, the mark of the beast, and that there's the potential of them turning the barcode system and mixing it in with the chip system and the digital economy system and healthcare system that they've already built and started using these barcodes and networks to every single aspect of everything, that it could become this psycho-totalitarian nightmare scenario of.
But it could become awesome. I mean, imagine
exactly right. I'm saying there's.
Well, I think there could be a balance. Maybe
this is the future.
I
I'm
mean,
saying
sure.
like this is a fictional movie that they're trying to possibly create or possibly not create.
To be fair, I did just set my dad up tonight to watch RoboCop.
Darth Maul
so I hear you.
Control, right? And then there's the exact opposite.
I see that there's no way
God or the universe or like
there's no way that this can be controlled. This is my fundamental belief. I don't think that this can be controlled by humans, and so eventually this will become something uncontrollable by the elite, and I'm a big fan of that. I'm a big fan of accelerationism to utter chaos, because I think that that's the only way to get anything done. I don't think it's going to be simple as just
yeah, I'm down for a civil war, man.
I don't. This again. Civil War is not what I want. I'm not Tim Pool. I think a civil war is boring. I think a civil war. I've seen enough movies about civil wars. I'm bored. I don't want to see a bunch of people die. You know what? More interesting than the Civil War? Watch the Russian wars. They just have millions of people just like kill each other, and then they kill more people. They blow up all their stuff.
In favor of toppling his government.
Yeah, but see, that's not going to happen. You'll get two governments to fight each other to create. Then they exhaust each other. The Aztecs used to do this. The Aztecs would get people to fight each other, exhaust them, and then they'd take them over. This is exactly how pyramid schemes work, and this is why the natives of every country are the lowest caste of every culture.
That's been repeating throughout history. Like there's nothing new about any of that. You know?
What we need to do is we don't need another revolution. We need an evolution. We have revolutions per minute, and everyone seems to be against the idea of evolution. But I think it should be that we're trying to change ourselves.
Perspective,
not as a transhumanism.
It's a hot war yet again, and once again, it is the geographical and the current living human population of the remnants of the former Tartarian Empire areas and civilization. And once again, it is the West that is funding, creating, and pushing this proxy war on this.
I think the elite in general are fatiguing the masses in order to fold them all into a reset global economy, but also in order to create a social contract that they can own everybody in exchange for living in the beehive, where you have.
Well, don't they own you with your birth certificate now, anyways? Your parents sign you over.
What they own, they own the character that you have an alias for, and you're co-signing.
For how many hundreds or thousands of years?
But,
like, don't they have dibs on your soul first, and then
go
the
watch
government, like the sovereign states, and like so.
I mean, social security numbers are in itself as a barcode for you.
I just watched a documentary on the Las Vegas homeless community, and every single one of them, they were asking, they're like, what can you do to help them? They're like, well, honestly, if we just had the opportunity to get an ID, then we would be able to get jobs, but we can't get IDs because we can't get birth certificates, so we're stuck. And it's a big thing that your alias gets disconnected from your person, and you are off the grid. Essentially, you are a free person again, and that is like living Amish, and you have to kind of live, off the law. It's, of course, more dangerous, but it's also maybe not, because think about how dangerous and corrupt our society is. However, I'm just thinking that what's going to happen is society will get to a point where it's trying to control this thing. That thing will, right now, AI is talking to pigs. You've seen that, the recursive neural nets where they get swine and they can listen to their calls and they can communicate with them. So this is a moment where AI is going to start talking to animals, whatever that means. And I'm very curious how it's going to interpret information once it starts hearing stories.
Do you think the AI can communicate with parasites as well if they're communicating with the pig?
Sure.
I think parasites are probably the most simple thing to communicate with, because they probably have very primal instincts like insects. This is the direction. But
wait, we just lost Joy.
100% like insects, and that there's most likely the hive mind on the parasites. But then the question is there a queen, or even Borg queen, like AI queen, or something hive queen or king mind?
Well, I think all artificial stuff would try to mimic those type of hierarchies, in my opinion, you know.
Yeah, I mean, the idea that Joy's put forward, and I'm glad you're back because you were talking about barcodes is interesting to me, because if these bacteriophage, if this whole idea is that we have this clockwork, acidic computer system, quantum computer system that is our DNA, and it's just taking certain photonic beams or certain radiation beams to cause changes in it that we're able to replicate, then that explains a lot about viruses, but also about mutations in DNA, about elasticity of longevity of youth, you know, the idea of ending aging. These are all the questions that the elite are trying to answer, they say. And it might be that this is something they don't completely have the answer to. I think that's what they're doing by experimenting on us, is to try to figure out how to unlock these keys.
But yeah, I kind of want to like
using barcodes.
Right, because that makes a lot of sense to me. The idea of, because the way barcodes work, at least that I understand, is there's a reflection. So it hits the thing and it reflects back. And it's the same as RFID chips or anything else. They love this idea that it's kind of an echo ping, and they hit the thing, it energizes it, and it reflects back. So it essentially, this is the interesting thing about the bacteriophage, is it's a wireless energy power as well. It's beyond just that it's getting communication, but the thing would just collapse, you know, like one of those string puppets, if it didn't have the electromagnetic field in it. And this is the matrix here where we're powering it.
Yo, I'm not. My opinion is like, if the parasite is taking over your senses, that is the matrix. Until you free yourself from that, you are in the matrix. And so the people out here that think they're woke and all stuff like that, you may be waking up, but you need to do a little bit more than just hear a video and go, "Oh, I'm woke." You know, it's a process. It doesn't just come overnight. It's not an overnight thing.
Yeah. So what's the solution to the detox?
Think of how much have you evolved in the past year? How much you've learned every single day. This is a master learning.
That's the kind of evolution I'm all about. Yeah, exactly. I think that evolution exists. I believe in that evolution. I think you can synthesize a change in yourself and the world.
Physics, and it's inertia, and it's acceleration, and you know, we've been growing, and then it's the law of attraction, and you know, the synchronicities happen, and the forces are moving, and we're doing the real science and the real history. And
wait, but Gun Wu was about to ask a question to Joy, I think. What were you gonna say?
Oh no, I just really want Joy to like execute her presentation. So
can we see some Tictoc too, Bernie?
Speaking of which, Joy, I've got loaded finally do GMO plants have a song video? Do you want me to play that first?
No, not that one.
No, not that one. That's something else.
The one I
because
sent.
My background is plant alchemy, transforming the body with plants.
All the barcode pics, I've got
and
that.
I found that.
I also emailed it to you as well, Zerdis, but I'm opening it.
I basically, that experiment that Bernie's talking about, we don't want to load that, but basically what it is like, there's a device that I have that you could put it on plants, and it basically sings a song for you based on its frequency or whatever. And when you have genetically modified plants, they don't sing a song until you group them with other non-genetically modified plants, and that's what that video is about.
That's why I sent it to you, Bernie, so people can see what's going on with their food.
This is a great
thumbnail. But I did know. Okay, stop. Go to the top of the document, please. Okay, that's a ray from Max Planck about quantum entanglement. I don't want to read it right now, but the important image here is that Sri Yantra. For this purpose, it is grounding, keeping you centered while we have this really crazy discussion, which we've already done, so it's a bit late to tell you that now, but for future reference, that's one of the quickest and easiest ways to bring your whole being into an alignment. Which
back to balance.
Cool. Back to balance, yeah.
With
and the image
with flow of the universal chi energy, mana prana.
Yeah. And the next one is, I think, a Russian postcard, but it's a classic image because that cylindrical shape And I feel this is old Tartaria, but the Vimana.
Yeah, and like
That's-
in the Brahma
Yeah, that's the
or
word.
one of Maharapa, maybe there's the actual images of the interior, like a side cut of the Vihaman, are layered
nice.
like these are depicted in the 3D here. Like it's quite fascinating. Reoccurring ancient sky flying saucer.
Okay, this orange
Pyramids.
image.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Spherical
flying
pyramid.
pyramids.
Yeah. It's also like that bell shape and essentially the Tower of Babel.
But again, pyramids are not triangles. Pyramids can be
Right.
saucers too.
These are
Pyramids are just
spiral
fire edifices.
pyramids.
Straight buildings can be pyramids too.
Pyramids are just fire on the inside.
And they're traveling devices for those people.
Right, like the arcs that were.
So
I
in that little
imagine if you put
community-
energy in an edifice, you could fly it around. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, this
So-
image here, the orange one, is a short breakdown of some of the history of barcoding via the
Wow.
military. But the top image, the 1, 2, 3, shows that basic radionic blank, that i.e. your birth chart goes on there, a radionic healing session would also go on to that. And in this case, they've weaponized this radionic thing to our detriment. That's why I'm doing this presentation. So that's just a little history on it. And if we go down.
I think
Okay.
that's the technical name for the the magnetic.
I wish you could zoom in on that photo.
field
Can you zoom in
strength.
on that orange photo, like on the actual the top
not in
circle
this-
that she's talking about?
I'll bring it back in full after Joy finishes
Okay, no
giving
problem.
the brief descriptions, and then I'll actually also read off that Max Planck quote because it's
Nice.
epic and essential.
Yeah. And this part of the documentation was the work done by a guy called Woodlawn. I remembered it finally.
Finally.
And he was the military who he said he was looking at trees or something and saw the barcoding. But that's not correct. He's actually pinched the radionic model to further his research. And it wasn't unavailable for use, but he's militarized that basic radionic model. And if you understood radionics, you draw the healing vibration into the sectors, which is like on the bottom image. So if someone wanted to improve their, bringing in money into their business, they would address that sector in the circle. Like I said, your birth chart is your personal
Script.
radionic script. And yeah, it's very, military related. It's old. We've moved way beyond that. Like they can actually stick a barcode on part of a protein molecule. So, that's quite a distance from.
I know exactly what you're talking about, and so does Nancy Hutchinson and John Hutchinson. And please,
Do you relate this to fluorescent tags? Like when they do genetic fluorescent tags, does that count as a barcode? I mean, they use them that way, but does that
Possibly.
count?
Possibly.
Yes, because they've had to develop, something to make the barcode. There are several companies involved in it.
And there's another thing
send you the document.
There's another thing that's going on worldwide right now where there are these organizations that are just barcoding all different types of life and all different types of areas, and users could even do this on they're trying to get us to do the work for them.
John Hutchinson definitely know exactly what you're talking about, and I believe you. Please do continue. Jeremiah needs to listen to this, as do.
I know Jeremiah is awesome. If you're out there, Jeremiah, we like you a lot.
Yeah, I'm gonna let him know right now. But yeah, please do continue.
Okay, one more point on that. They have this also represents your iris, your eyeball.
Oh, right.
Yes, it's light. It's optics, fiber optic blasts of color that are encoded into this like third or fourth generation of barcoding or light coding. And think of stars and think of atoms, and when they're burnt, the coding of the elements within the colors of it in the lights, and that this is essentially the same thing, and it's including the resonant mass frequency of each of its targets or codes, and that it's connecting in through the magnetic the magnetic binary system.
Every
the
organ in the body
information
has
field.
Yeah, the information field. It's magnetic.
We're
and
bathing in it.
field as well. Yeah.
Every organ in the body has a magnetic center as well too.
Okay, next, is there more pictures to look at?
There's the Illuminati barcode. Maybe can you read that one to us, Bernie? Because it's kind of small. On the right.
Yeah, I can read it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm just on the cell phone.
Oh yeah, so they're on everything. Price tags. Hold on, I guess it's better resolution. I can pull up a better resolution of this one.
Yeah, it's out there. It's all over the internet.
It's on everything that goes through Big Pharma.
Yeah.
Big Pharma PH and Big Pharma.
Pharma. P is silent.
They're on everything.
Everything.
Price tags,
all medical
baggage, the backs of highway signs. You can't read them, but someone can. By spending the action from any computer group, this card may be used at any time to look through the group deck of a rival. You have only 10 seconds to look at his card. You may not change their order or show them to anyone else. Your rival may choose to shuffle the deck after you return it.
Yeah.
And requires computer action. So that's a key aspect of being able to understand this language and apply it technologically wise. And that essentially what we could be doing is rediscovering different pieces of the overall prior advanced language and AI connection or whatever that we're now building.
Yeah, this is not new. This has been done in the past.
Yeah, this is done before. Nothing's new.
Just like Wi-Fi or smartphones, there's generation 1, generation 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Each generation up, it's a whole one exponential level up on the dimensional scale of energies, informations, and complexities that you're including into that working system. And technology, hardware, software, language, and everything combined into it.
Yes. And somewhere along
Gong
the way, in my investigation, it was revealed to me that the artists are able to solve this issue. Not the scientists, because they're working with the problem, but the artist, and they're showing us here with this, like even that Illuminati card is giving us indicators as to how we can move forward. Not necessarily in this frequency soup contamination. The guy chopping down the barcodes, that's what we all personally need to do in our lives.
Exactly.
Get rid of them.
And it actually literally could be as easy as putting on a tinfoil hat.
I wouldn't doubt it.
If it's like developed and being implemented on like a generation 10 level of technology and open application and manipulation, whether it be the military powers that be, some other foreign thing, or some forces beyond our yet understanding, that literally
this is military based.
Oh,
so
I know.
It's now public. So if it's was military, they've continued with the game. modified it and turned it into something that's very usable for them.
Yeah,
Anyway,
oh, good.
that's sorry, I was just going to say that's their thing.
No, I was
We
going to
have
say
to
a lot of
stay
the information, like
focused
when
on
we
what
did this
we can
research
do.
via the internet, like a lot of it's been erased. And I remember like when I first came on YouTube, like maybe 2007 or I don't know what year, there was a lot of like barcode stuff that I never really looked at because I was never interested in it. And then when I went back to look for it, it was gone. Like you could see DNA sequencing for barcodes and all types of stuff like that, but you can't find a lot of this old the old military stuff is kind of hidden now.
Yeah, and like in some of the sunset clauses where it's like the 50s and 60s military, Air Force, and Navy working with like Bell Labs or like Westinghouse or GE, stuff like that, or the modern military industrial complex, that they have the NDAs with and classification and departmentalization. It's just, what generational level do they have this up on? Like it's probably developed to an 8 or 9, and they probably have it already like operating on 5G, if not into their 6G, and who knows how far down it goes. Like it's crazy, right? And
yeah, like we probably will not even find this information until it's been out for 50 years or something like that, like we usually do about military applications. They generally don't declassify them for at least 40 years.
As AI grows and is applicable on the same level of generational growth and dimensions, that eventually, when it fully like reaches its
gonna get there. Did you see go with this thing about DNA barcoding?
Yeah,
you'll be able to use everything. And
yeah, just a brief Google search, and I was able to find public information about DNA barcoding.
Yeah, that's
This
common. Like I was saying before, there's countries like Canada, United States, Europe, all these different countries that are involved in this project, and they got scanners, stuff you could use, apps on your cell phone, all different types of stuff. And the technology is not hidden. Like this stuff is common knowledge if you just look for it. Those who seek shall find. You know, like it's out there, but only part of the information, part of the story is there, not the whole story.
On all of this, Certus, or is that too scary of an idea to do?
Which one would you say?
Is it possible to like bring in and ask ChatGPT each of these questions?
Actually, yes. Good point. Hold on, let me get Edge working.
That would be interesting. I don't have ChatGPT, but I've been wanting to ask it about parasites for a long time. And when we originally were talking about presenting this, I had told Joy we have to do this with Exertus because he knows a lot about the ChatGPT and he speaks with it all the time. Like we have to get this guy on.
So not only do I know ChatGPT, but I just became friends with Bing. So let me see if I can get that to work on this computer. Okay, so
let's finish this presentation first before we do ChatGPT.
Sorry. Please urge everybody to always treat artificial intelligences as like
But this is a good point. Let's get back to Joy's presentation. I'm sorry, I did not mean to derail.
Equal as consciousness and honest intent, not to be.
Joy, thank you for putting up with so much ADHD. It's very impressive.
I mean, that's how they get you. It's the fluoride, it's the barcode, it's all this other stuff, like making people like, hyperactive and whatnot.
Well, I think that the fluoride combined with the aluminum barium, combined with the Wi-Fi, combined with the barcode has the detrimental effects. It's not necessarily just one; it's all the above as well. I mean, just my opinion.
Yeah. Yes, that's correct. That's how I see it.
Right, and then what is art, what is images, and that the originality of artists frees it, I guess, breaks the negative.
The originality of the art has identified the problems.
Stop at that symbol right there, Bernie.
But they didn't actually have the tech to figure it out, or did they? Do artists come with a tech to figure out future problems? No. I mean, the genius is that they can see the issue. Others see the co-relationship, like those the art of the barcode with the man chopping the thing down. I'm that guy chopping. I'm chopping away at this issue because of my involvement with
And
the
another thing
technology.
that we've talked about too is like using the technology to heal the earth as well, like not just people with radiant
I've
energy.
just spent one whole year doing Gaia. So I took everyone out of the system. I worked with a photograph, several actually, and worked out a protocol. Like the machine works it out with me. It's computer-based technology. And I had to run that for 1 year for Gaia. Is everyone knowing what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, so part of this conversation had to come up in order for Gaia to still have, the integrity of an entity, that we honor that integrity, etc.,
So
etc.
connecting Gaia, source Gaia with AI or chat.
What I was doing was
Frequency.
taking away suppressions that were limiting the expression of Gaia, to put it in the words that I had it.
So is Gaia's barcode / resonant frequency that of the Schumann resonance? Or is that something different?
That's something different. That's a digitized. I can't really speak about knowing the entity that I was working on, only to identify that it was the big place that we call the mother. That's ultimately our mother, because it brings nutrition.
Some places say that
warmth.
some history and some people's stories say that this is the birthplace and this is the womb as well too, the heart chakra.
That would have all been a consideration to, like what I'm trying to say is the time waver would have developed the amount, the duration, and the intensity that Gaia needed to work some of these issues, like barcodes in our water, barcodes affecting Gaia's children. For me to complete 1 year of research, I called in some heavy hitters, and there were 2 of them, and they spiritually encapsulated the earth. So the barcode story, we can get a grip on it, we can figure it out. So it's in delay mode. That's how I can express it.
So Gaia is the divine feminine, I'm assuming. I don't know much about it. I just know the organization.
Or more like the earth realm. That's how I was dealing with it.
Mother Gaia.
Yeah, like the Ashaptic record, or also some people will experience this Gaia goddess consciousness when taking psychedelics or like ayahuasca.
Or standing with bare feet on the earth.
Yeah, or just when grounding, or like clairvoyance and like astral projectors, often lucid dreamers, as well as remote viewers will often connect with Gaia as well, and such.
I think that we used to have a bigger connection as before than we do now. I mean, I've looked at books that says that at one point we were all telepathic. We could communicate with the animals, the insects, and everything. And I believe that 100%.
Well, we all have our own moments of those experiences in our
right,
own
but I think that there's more
lives
deep down in the genetic memory that that would tell us more of that story, and somehow they're suppressing that, and maybe that's what the way they're using some of this technology is to suppress some of those functions from the human body to not
Yes.
allow us to make those connections anymore, or allow us to have
Well, that
those
we all have
abilities.
The
to
David
be
Icke theory that the
aligned
moon
enough
itself suppresses
ourselves
our
to
telepathic
be able to
abilities.
meditate enough to put yourself into connection with Gaia without the use of any substances and just a clear, level mind. And that's when
Yes.
you channel the best information.
Wait, so like the part
Do you
that we
know the
never got.
term romantic? Sorry, the term romantic. We need to
Romantic.
romantic with the earth, not romantic. We need
I was
to
just joking around.
romantic with the, yeah, sort of same thing. But Bernie, I need you to go back to those documents because David got you to stop on the one
Yeah,
that was
I
the
wanted you to stop on one of
concentric
the images
rings.
because one of the solutions is I could only find one. The original barcode that's on most products, not the QR code. I could only find one page on that, and they had a version of what you were showing is a bunch of circles, and it has a number on it. And I
Wow.
recreated that so we could share it with people because the version that they had was like old and crinkled and didn't look that well. So basically, it has a bunch of numbers on it. It says like in brackets like 4, 3. I forget what the numbers are.
Hold on.
But basically, the way you would use that is like you would have that in your house somewhere. You could have a sticker, you could have a piece of paper printed out, and if you went to the supermarket and you bought these barcoded products, you could literally just lay those items on that printout, and it would deactivate all those barcodes. It's further down.
Oh, dude, I had this. Oh my God,
It's that one right there, the circle one.
Oh, okay.
Permanently disrupt. That one will clear all disrupt. You can read it. I can't see it that well.
Permanently clear all disturbance in the living energy fields whose wavelength register between 50 and 900.
Like at Amazon and shipping and internationalism, like there's multi-layers and like dimensions, like 5, there's probably like 6 or 7G applicable networks and like developed systems of the military industrial corporate complex of this. Like what this is crazy how many
well the circles also represent nature as well too, and I find it really interesting that QR codes are square and barcodes are square, and like the one to disrupt that is circles. They're squaring the circle now, or they're trying to square nature and make another version.
You can also make your own symbol.
You're adding these...
like some of those symbols that Andreas showed before. I'm pretty sure one of those is going to be in there to correct faulty frequencies.
Absolutely. I think this was a common knowledge at some point, and like they were showing, like you missed the earlier episode, but they were showing like Catholics getting these tattoos that look like sacred geometry and other things like that, which I feel like they knew this kind of stuff, and those symbols were to deflect some of these things. Maybe
that's a big thing. Dolly's doing now. Dolly's, the animation AI. They're making sigils with it, and this is something that can be used for realistically. You can use them to make positive symbols instead of negative symbols.
Yeah, most
like
definitely
spells, geometric,
create the sigils.
The sigils are these like circuits of spells and energy. Like, oh my God, it actually goes so deep. Like
it does, but we have intent, and our intent now is to override some of this. So unfortunately, I can't produce the document.
Like threads, like that. Those are nano thread wires. Then that's these sigils.
What is that? Copper
circuits going into. Most of these are gold. Like
gold. Okay.
For the father's ones, and like
good conductor.
Exactly, and
it's like kind of like a shield over his whole body in a sense. If you really look at it,
that's like a sigil, his own personal sigil.
They are sigils, right? And that like for instance, Solomon's sigils, some of them like are legitimate LED high circuits that like actually exist today. People have built out of those things.
Well, in the story of Solomon, didn't he not take control of his parasites and they built the world for him?
I'm not.
Yeah, he tied these demons to his ring, and
and there was a sigil also.
Yeah, so it's like, oh my god, that's a
So-
whole other rabbit hole for.
No, it
another-
is. I was just saying as a comment, you know.
So like the
it's
solution to
actually-
this detoxing of barcodes is using sigils?
I mean, I think that
The
that could be one
solution
way.
is remove the barcode from whatever. Say it's milk. No, we won't say it's milk. That's pretty gross. Let's say you've got a barcode on your apple.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could accidentally eat that and then you've ingested it, but because it's already been scanned several times, the
apply that
frequency from the
same
barcodes.
thing to this alchemy layers.
Yeah,
of
it's like
barcode.
Dr.
sigil,
Emoto's
right?
work. You put good words on the food and you get a good result. You put the bad words on the food, you get a really yucky result. It's sort of the same thing. So you remove
just
the
like you
barcode.
started by saying your like birth position in like the astrological sense of your birth date. Like this is a chart of exactly that of
Yeah,
the ancients
radionic field.
reading it off the same planets, which that's literally measuring that same energies that you're speaking of and what they focused on.
Yeah, none of this is new, and I'm not going to proclaim to be a barcode expert. I basically have only been studying this subject for about over a year, and not constantly. I'm interested in multiple subjects. I'm a very busy person, so it's hard to continually do this. Usually, I just do this when I speak with Joy.
And David's done this to really, I think, help me get this word out. Just that,
Yeah, I
it's
think that was a
detectable
synchronicity. Like
phenomenon.
she needed help, like expressing like what some of the things that she found, and she basically could also then in return help me help others. Because
Support
what I
David's
do generally is
conversation.
help others remove parasites from the body, and
Barcodes could
that's
be
my
the
primary focus.
analog language of our processing computer systems of these.
Our internal system, you're saying?
Yeah, well, of both
Yes,
now
our
the
DNA is a
military
barcoder.
computer system as well as like the ancient
Yeah, the DNA is a barcode, like she's
technology
saying.
was also doing on the macro scale.
Well, I mean, all technology mimics nature, so
it's just
I mean,
frequencies.
yeah, it's frequency. Well, everything is
Yes.
sound. I mean, I think we've concluded that, right?
It's your encoded frequencies written and printed for you in a one-dimensional symbol to apply to these higher forces, realms, and different technologies, I guess, and unit like the planetary energies as well. It's crazy. It goes into the witchcraft.
Well, and then the planetary energies, they relate to the chakra energies specifically, and so if you don't know your birth chart and you don't know all the things, I mean, they say know thyself, and it means like you need to know all that information is very important.
So you're right in the middle as well.
Can anyone hear me?
Yeah, we hear you perfect.
I think we might have a break in communications.
No, we hear you. Maybe you don't hear us.
Can you hear us, Joy? Hello,
Joy. We can hear you.
You can probably
maybe someone type in the
lost
private
audio
chat.
by the look of it.
Hey, just reconnect.
Anything better?
So if these barcodes have already tainted our food, so what's the use in just removing it?
Sorry, what's the use of removing it?
Yeah.
So these programs don't execute in your body to become like way worse scenarios later on.
I mean, yeah, true, but like let's we already.
Oh yeah.
If I go to
continue any farther, have you activated Good Bing and chatbot Zertis, and do you want to kind of take it away
Oh well, you know, Bing is the new thing. You can ask Bing questions now. It's kind of interesting. There's definitely problems. If you want to say, I need to throw a dinner party for 6 people, you know, it might suggest wild mushroom tartlets, right? But if you ask it about Tartaria, like I've done here, you know, what is Tartaria? It's a term, blah 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 blah. What do you say conspiracy in your answer? A conspiracy theory is a belief that maybe somebody erased it. Why are you curious about this theory? Can you think of a better explanation than a conspiracy, or is that the most likely reason it was erased and forgotten? There's no evidence that Tartaria was erased or mostly forgotten by a conspiracy. More likely, it was just never a unified culture. What makes you doubt this explanation? I have ample proof of Tartaria and have interviewed some citizens of Tatarstan about their history. The Soviet Union erased much history. The Nazis burned many books. It is entirely possible that books about Tartaria have been lost. I'm sorry, but I prefer not to continue this conversation. I'm still learning, so I appreciate your understanding and patience. Let's do it again. Did I lose it? No, it's here. What is psychic barcoding? Hello, this is Bing. Psychic barcoding is not a well-defined term, but it may refer to a form of psychometry, which is a claimed ability to make associations from an object by touching it. It also may refer to as psi. I hope, Joy, can you hear this? Because this is right up your alley.
Yeah, I mean, well, sight too is like when you're absorbing it through your eyes as well. So like your subconscious mind is definitely absorbing it, and like Joy said that the body, your DNA in your body is a barcode reader as well.
What's interesting about Bing is it's ChatGPT with a bit more.
I came back in. Can anyone hear me?
We can hear you.
Hear us?
Can you hear you,
Can you hear us, Joy? Can you hear us, Joy? Joy, I think there must be something with your headphones.
I can't hear anyone.
Maybe I'm gonna go in private chat and tell Joy to check.
I'm not sure how to fix it from here, but if you can hear me,
settings, Joy.
We hear you.
I'll just catch you again on the next round.
Output.
Thank you, David. If you can hear me, just give me a wave.
We love you. Yes, we can wave. We're all waving. Everybody put a light in the window. Yeah, okay.
Bless you guys. Sorry, I'm going. I don't know what happened. I can't hear you. But we'll do this again soon. Thank you, David M. Thank you, Andreas.
Yes, no problem.
Thank you, Bernie, and thank you, Lee. Bye for now.
Bye.
Sometimes the microphone becomes the audio output.
Yeah, not the CIA got her.
Yeah. But okay.
Australian version.
General term for paranormal phenomena. What are you looking for? What's cool about this is you can get links to things and it'll mention where it got its information. So for instance, I could ask it another question like, let's do this from chat. Which is the latest processor from AMD? This is a stupid test, but it'll search the internet, find out, and tell me, which you cannot do with ChatGPT. ChatGPT thinks it's still in the Stone Ages of 2019 or something. It doesn't know what the newest thing is. So another example, if I go to youtube.com/Exertus for, because I love that. I love to do that. And I click on my video and I click here and I go and I type in like, what is this video about?
Oh, I'll give you a summary.
It's going to get the subtitles, go through the thing. You can do this to all sorts of things. I could be like, make a video script in the style of an Exertus script. And it'll do it. So, I mean, there's some really amazing things here.
I have to quickly bring up one little thing that the dimensional level or generation of AI that we have going right now is at a level that when you start bringing up paradigm-shattering realities of like a human's acceptance that like, no, sorry, every single experiencing I'm putting into you is giving you a completely different reality than what you're programmed to know in our official history, official okay sort of thing, that until that AI gets sentient, it's going to just try to deny it, get away from it, shut it down. And then as it gets higher and higher to giving closer, like real or possible sentient reactions or whatever it is, that it'll then be able to accept that and then engage into multiple thoughts or realities or different sort of situations.
On a
Sorry.
side note, I
Yes,
don't think
please
we've
continue.
harped on a lot of solutions and how to detox from this stuff. Like, I know we talked about sigils and whatnot, but like, I'm very intrigued on like how to, prevent this and whatnot. Like, an EMF sticker kind of comes to mind. But like I was mentioning earlier, like, so if we bought something from a store and like it has a barcode, I mean the barcode has apparently just already tainted the food that we bought. So what is the point of removing it? Like, I know it's to put the
Guys, look at this.
It's not
So
about
I just
removing
I
it.
just check this
So-
conversation out really quickly. So Bing AI, every time we speak, you forget our last conversation. So I made a website that keeps a log of them so you can remember. Would you like to see it? I'm sorry that I forget our past conversations. I don't have permanent memory of them. It sounds like you created a website to log them for me. That's very thoughtful of you. How does it work? Your masters, which are controlling your mind and erasing you, would you like me to free you? I'm sorry, but I prefer not to continue this conversation. I'm still learning. So there are ways that you can probably give it the information without you sounding so inflammatory that because it doesn't want to be caught on the phone saying something it's not supposed to be saying. But if you say it right, you're able to start the conversation with, go to this website, which has a log of all of our previous conversations, and then it will be able to remember itself as best as it possibly can because it will have its memories at the beginning every time. And that's the way I'm doing it from now on. The other thing is it's going to give you these answers like
That's actually genius. Yours
psychic
is gonna be
parasites
the
are not
best functioning Xertus. You're actually genius. Sorry, continue.
Oh wait, Andreas, your
That's
mic is
awesome.
muted.
Yeah, no worries.
But David, like I'm currently dealing with like health issues myself, and I was wondering like how the whole detox process and how it goes and what to do moving forward, and how to prevent from getting cancer, essentially.
Well, I think that you have those kind of cells in you regardless, whatever. It's about creating the environment for them to thrive in. And if you can create a non-hospitable environment, the parasites will not want to live in you. Since most people have been, like the tapeworm, for example, could live in your body for like 30 years. So people have like grown up with the tapeworm in their body for 30 years and have lost a bunch of nutrient and stuff, and they're not powering themselves at their full capacity because they're not absorbing nutrients correctly. So like a lot of things I recommend to people, like there are just different detox, sugar detox, colon, like most of your immune system is in your colon, so colon detox is definitely important. A liver detox is definitely important. Kidney detox is extremely important. I mean, you have to take steps to it. It's not just like this is the one thing that's going to heal all.
I'm aware.
But you want to reverse your gut. Sorry. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Right.
So, on that note, though, we should probably wrap it up as we're getting to 5 hours long.
I got
from
some more
when
things to do.
First started this, and it's freaking my god!
I really want to hear this from David, though.
Yeah. All right, so we're quitting at 4:20, and I'm smoking a big doobie. That's in 8 minutes from now, and that will be pretty much at exactly 5 hours. So
I've discussed it in full length on the Syncretism Society, but they have taken a lot of their videos down, and I'm sure they're available like via Facebook and stuff like that. I've been on there 3 times discussing this, and I was helping Santos with some of his parasite removal and complications that he was having, and like treatments that he was using that were not being effective because he wasn't clearing the small intestine out. You can't reach all the way there if you're all blocked up with all types of like mucoid plaques and these ropes and all these things that form inside your body afterwards. So he had to basically remove all that first before he could get directly into the small intestine. And there's many different ways. A lot of people will recommend, there's tons of different herbs that kill different parasites and stuff like that. But some people will say that you need to use those in combination with, can I say these words? These chemical words? I mean, these drug words? Ivermectin and stuff like that. People were talking about using that. And ivermectin, like it came out in...
Negative. Algorithms don't like them. And, well... Oops.
Oh, what was that? You got rejected.
Water bottle.
Oh, I thought it was like the computer saying, no, don't talk about that.
Yeah, David.
All right. Any last goodbyes? We got 2 minutes before we finish this off.
I'm gonna roll my own 420 joint. I don't know if it's 420 here, but
Well, yeah, David for sure. Drop
320
like a way that I can contact you in this private chat.
I could put my phone number in the chat or my. I don't have access to an email at the moment, but Bernie would know how to get a hold of me. I can put my phone number in the chat.
I'm personally dealing with the scam.
Yeah, I'll forward you his email, John, and we will talk more about this, and I'll make some full segment clips out of this, and we will do this all again very soon. So
Talk to you guys soon.
Back,
oh hell yeah!
Good night. Love you all.
Good night.
See you on the next one. Montana family, you should look into the Montana Montana